The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted, and to proclaim that the captives will be released, and the prisoners will be freed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, and the day of vengeance of our God.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
Okay, good afternoon or good morning, depending where you are in the world. But today is Monday, the 5th of February, and I have Andrew Sorchini back of Beverly Hills Precious Metals. And the point of today's podcast is to discuss the financial system. The financial system, not the stock market. I'm talking everything. The financial system is a complete and utter fraud. I want people to understand the magnitude of what that statement means. And more importantly, there's events going down in our world right now with the BRICS nations. These are things that Andrew and I have spoken about for a long time, for 2 years now. These things are going on in the world. The mainstream media refuses to discuss this stuff. But yet, if you do Google searches and you search hard enough, all of this can be found. So all of what we're speaking about is true. So, Andrew, welcome back to the show, and let's have some fun today.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me back. There's certainly lots going on. And I think one of the biggest things that I've seen recently is that the U.S. bond market, which is what backs the dollar, the U.S. bond market is off to its slowest start of any year since 2016. The dollar's losing favor among the BRICS nations and many other countries.
And that's the thing we've talked about. The US dollar is the crux of all this. And why is the US dollar so critically important to discuss? Because they can create it out of thin air. Nixon took us off the gold standard in 71. You had Kissinger show up a couple of years later. They created a petrodollar contract. And then what happened? For 50 years now, we've had a petrodollar contract. But then now Andrew and I have been screaming for the past 2 years about this, because bottom line is, because when Nixon took us off the gold standard 50 years later was 2021, and then 9 days later, Kabul fell on that exact day. And 9 days later, the Saudis signed a contract, a military contract with Russia. But we've got that petrodollar military contract. Understand that? So you've got a military contract with the United States, the Saudis, but then they just go randomly, and nothing's random, right? They go 9 days later after their neighbor Kabul fell, they go sign a contract with Russia, and ever since then we've heard the thing Russia, Russia, Russia. You know, we've just been hearing this Russia thing forever, and now the really exciting thing is about Russia is you've got Tucker Carlson in Russia.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
The world is about to hear the other side speak, and it's going to be awesome. So I'm telling you, we're such at an incredible, important time point for the world, because when you read Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. So I don't care what the mainstream media says. I don't care what the news says. I don't care what anybody says. I know when you read scriptures, it is written, and God's word will not come back void. So whether it happens today, tomorrow, or in a week or two, in a month from now, all I know is Babylon is about to fall, and they built Babylon with the money system, the fake money system. After they basically detached it from gold, they've been creating it out of thin air to infinity. And now we're actually getting more and more and more and more news coming out. So, Andrew, what's the most recent information that you've been able to dig up with regard to the US dollar and the BRICS nations right now?
Well, one of the things that I saw is that, and this actually touches what you just spoke about. On the first of the year, 5 new nations have officially joined BRICS, and the biggest one is Saudi Arabia, who now effectively that 50-year deal that you spoke of that Kissinger set up with the petrodollar is no more. So as a result, the BRICS nations claim that they hold 45 trillion in wealth after Saudi Arabia joined. So they're becoming more and more powerful as far as in comparison to the rest of the world, like us, Japan, and Canada, and Great Britain, and the other countries that support US. So we're losing ground, and as you've said, we are much closer now to the dollar losing its world reserve currency status, and that will be devastating for the dollar, but very good for gold and silver.
Again, I just want the viewers to understand that we're not making this up, okay? These are feeds that you can Google yourself and find, because I want the people to understand they hide everything. They operate in the shadows, but if you look hard enough, you find information. And right now, there's a lot of information I know coming out about the BRICS. So what percentage would you say that the BRICS, the countries that have joined the BRICS, globally, all the countries that have joined the BRICS, what percentage roughly does that equate to the world population?
Oh, it's got to be about 75%, because it includes China, which is the largest population in the world. It's got to be 75%.
There are articles coming out every single day that are coming out and literally stating what their plans are. The governments of the world know what the Federal Reserve, what the United States has been doing. And it's gotten to a point where, we've talked about, in the 70s, we were in the millions, maybe low billions, okay? And we're in the quadrillions now, which is 1,000 trillion. And we don't know what the numbers are. Like, that's the whole thing. In the 70s, they actually posted the numbers, the money supply. They don't even tell us now to any degree. We don't even know how much money's been created. So what I'm trying to have viewers just really grasp when they listen to this podcast is the financial system. Just because you grew up with it, just because your parents used it, just because maybe grandparents were accustomed to this financial system, if you study history, you'll find that every single money instrument created by man goes to zero. That's what history tells us. So what makes the US dollar different? Nothing. The US dollar will suffer the same fate. And so right now we're seeing these BRICS nations come up against the US dollar, because why? They had enough. Right, Andrew? They've had enough of the money control, worldwide control, through a money that's created out of thin air, and then they force it on the world globally. If you don't, cooperate, they bring war upon you. And so that's what we've been seeing now.
Yep. And to your point, as far as recent headlines that I've seen, in Iraq, 8 local banks now have banned transactions using the US dollar. So it's that's not stuff that you're going to get on our news here in America. It's you actually have to get the news abroad to really find out what's going on. Another thing is 20 new nations have joined the Russian nation's payment system, effectively ditching the US dollar. Another one, the BRICS are going to build a credit agency. It's a credit rating agency to counter US dominance. Like, it's going to be the whole world against the dollar at some point here. And for me, I feel a lot more safe going to sleep at night knowing that I have gold than I do having like a large bank account number that I could just look at on my phone, because that makes you nervous. It doesn't even have to be large. If somebody has a $50,000 net worth and that's all in the bank, they're nervous. They feel the same way somebody that might have $50 million has.
When you log into your bank account or you get a statement in the mail, all you're getting are digits on a piece of paper. Or if you're logging in, all you're seeing is digits that are illustrated to you in your bank account. It's not money. And we've joked about this in the past. If you have X amount of money and it's a sizable amount, let's say it's 100,000 or several 100,000, go to the bank and try to pull it out. They'll shut your account down. Some banks, are even stopping wire transactions when you're going to buy precious metals. Why? Yeah. Why are they doing that? You have to ask yourself the question, why are they doing that? And because it's a system of control. And so they want you controlled. And if they control your bank account, they control you. Again, I'm going to repeat that. If they control your bank account, because Satan operates in the middle, they control you. And with the click of a button, you're turned off. At least your bank account could be. Later on, it'll be everything else when they bring on a central bank digital currency, at least what they're trying to do. And so this is what they're trying to do. Ultimate control of humanity. And it all started with Nixon taking us off the gold standard, and then you had the petrodollar contract. And now we know it's a complete joke because there is no more petro in the dollar. The Saudis have left. They're no longer a part of the U.S. contract, the military contract. So for those people who are listening to this contract, just ask yourself, if the other side of the party left, if they left the contract, they left, they're not a part of it anymore. Why are you still holding on to the US dollar? What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Well, I think that people are just used to that being the case, because our parents and our grandparents socked away extra $100 bills or whatever they could, put it under a mattress, put it in the sock drawer. Even some people for years have put them in a safe deposit box at the bank. But if those dollars aren't worth anything, if they're not backed by anything real, then there's no point in doing that. You really have to own gold. You have to. It's like so important right now to be able to own gold and own it while it's still cheap. It's managed to stay over $2,000 an ounce every day this year. And it's really doing well at holding that 2,000. And like you always say, if the BRICS nations do win and we do go to a gold-backed central bank digital currency, then you're already in. You're in on the ground floor, and it can't be bad for gold.
See, but a central bank digital currency is a control mechanism. And I know for a fact, when I've read scriptures, my understanding of what's coming down is actually a sudden flip of what their plans might be. And the reason I say that is because, we've got prophetic words. When we go on stage, we've met Donna Clement, we know Kim Clement's daughter. And, there's a very important prophecy that was written or given to Kim years ago. I just want to repeat it. The brothers of Goliath. What does that mean? It means they're brothers of a giant, so they're giants too. Well, what's a giant? A country, a nation, right? So the brothers of Goliath, so BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and many other countries now joining it. The brothers of Goliath, because they used to work with Goliath. So they used to be, friends, really, but they've had enough. So the brothers of Goliath stand in glee, and we just saw what? Putin at the United Emirates like a month ago, high-fiving everybody over there. Okay, I would say that's standing in glee. And the next line was, we will cripple you. How do you cripple the United States? Take away status of the world reserve currency. What does that mean to you if the dollar lost its status of the world reserve currency? When that event goes down, Andrew, how do you foresee what's going on in the world from the nation, say within the United States and then outside the United States? Let's do both of those.
Well, I think that to take the words right out of Donald Trump's mouth, in an interview that he did a few months ago, he says that the dollar losing its status as the world's reserve currency is greater than losing any war. That's a pretty bold statement. And our dollar has been so strong. Like when you walk into another country back, 20 plus years ago, you walk in like a king if you have dollars, because dollars have better buying power than whatever the local currency is. But that's just not the case anymore. And I've recently traveled abroad quite a bit, and I've been to Dubai the last 2 Decembers and Januaries. I took gold, I took US dollars cash, I took Bitcoin, and the order of what they wanted was the gold number 1, Bitcoin number 2, and the dollars last. It's that's really what they want. If they said what would be better than all of that would have been to have the USDT token currency. So like they have no interest in the dollar like they did before. And even if you do pay in cash, if you find somebody that will take cash there, they pick out all the old ones, all the whole old $100 bills, the green ones. They don't want those. They say they get less for those. We no longer feel like kings walking into other countries with a bundle of $100 bills. They don't care.
And that's what we need to understand. See, when the dollar loses its status of the world reserve currency, how I perceive this, my opinion, how I perceive this would be within the United States, we're accustomed to it, so we're still going to use it for transactions. But the moment you step out of the country, no nation will take it for payment. See, so that becomes a huge problem. And that's why, like you said, when you travel abroad, what do they accept? A USDT. So what is that to those that don't know? It's a blockchain version. It's a stable coin. So it doesn't fluctuate much. And it's a blockchain version of the dollar. But the point that they're taking is the moment they would get that in USDT, they can immediately convert it to Bitcoin or gold or whatever they want to do. So that allows them to transact at distances. So, we're heading into a digital world, literally. When the dollar falls and loses status of world reserve currency, what we're going to see very quickly, very clearly is people are going to start immediately because we can't stop transacting. There's billions of people in the world. And so we're very, very, very quickly going to move over to blockchain to transact at distance. That's going to happen whether we like it or not. And the central banks, they want to bring on their own currency. They've called it a CBDC. Okay. See, that's their plan. But I want to be very clear. The CBDC it's like another coin. The central bank digital currency is nothing but like another coin. Now, if you go to coinmarketcap.com, last I checked, there's like 10,000 coins on coinmarketcap.com. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. There's like 10,000 plus coins on coinmarketcap.com. The world does not need 10,000 digital coins, period. The world might need Bitcoin as a store of value, maybe Litecoin, maybe 10, 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 other coins as transactional instruments at a distance. And the rest, the other 9,900 are going to go to zero when all of this system flips and all of this goes down. And so will this other coin called a CBDC, central bank digital currency, because if God intervenes, he's going to stop their plans, and their plans are going to go down the tubes, including their central bank digital currency. And why is that important? Well, because if this truly is going to be biblical event, that's the thing, is like if God intervenes, the CBDC goes down. If the God doesn't intervene, which he will because it's written, then their plans will go through fruition. What are their plans? Mark of the beast system. You talk with Clay, we know what's written. And so we know what their plans are. Their plans are ultimate control of humanity, and they're ultimately going to try to bring on a worldwide digital control system. And that's why at the Red Sea, if God didn't show up, there would be no nation of Israel today. But we know what happened at the Red Sea. I find it fascinating when I study, history. Again, when you study history, you will know what to expect in the future. And so when we study the history of money, what does it tell us? Every single digital or monetary instrument created by man goes to zero. That's what history tells us. History is so clear that every single currency, and before the currency goes to zero, what do they do with it, Andrew?
Yeah, there's a hyperinflation.
What do they do with the dollar right now?
Oh yeah, it's we're there. And what I compare what's happening now to is back, I would say when in the first couple of years of the Great Depression, leading up to 1933, you had the option then, like if you had a job and you went and you cashed your paycheck, let's say you got paid $35 for the week, and you would go into the bank and you had the option to receive the Federal Reserve notes, or you could have gold. And back then, those Fed notes were actually backed by gold. So you could have the paper currency, or if you didn't mind having the heavy gold coins in your pocket, you could actually get those when you're at the bank. Well, in 1933, the government recalled all of the gold and went strictly to that paper currency system, where it was just that and silver. So for many years leading up to that, you could have either currency, and I think that that's what's going to happen here when we have like some sort of a central bank digital currency and our own currency. So when our dollar here is unseated as the world's reserve currency, it's not going to be completely done at that point. That's the beginning of the end, but you're still going to have other options, and that's why I feel like gold has outlasted all of these money systems. I believe that you've said that none of them have really lasted more than 95 years. And we're kind of, what 1933 is
110 years on the U.S. on the U.S. dollar right now, Federal Reserve note.
Yeah, it's been a nice run, and it's time to evolve into whatever's next. And even for people like me and you, been around a little bit longer than some, one day we won't be here. And the people that are teens and 20 and 30 years old now, they're the ones that are going to be running the world. And I know for a fact that they want to make their transactions with their phones. They want to use whatever apps, whatever cryptocurrency. They just want to swipe. It really is going to go completely digital. So at this point, I just want to teach people how to protect what they have with physical gold and silver. And we do it every single day.
Right. Andrew's actually speaking very accurately, because actually right here in my hand, if you can see the right here in gold, it says gold certificate. And the point I'm trying to illustrate with this was actually redeemable for gold.
Yep.
And they stopped it because for the same reason they created the Federal Reserve note. Later on, the Nixon comes in and takes us off the gold standard. Why? Because Paris or France was redeeming all of this fake money for gold, and they had to cut it off. So they detached it from gold with Nixon. So it's always been the moment you see, God gave us an honest money ledger, gold and silver. It's Haggai 2 verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. It's an honest money system, and it prevents and it does not allow for fraud because it's honest. You can't create it out of thin air. Doesn't work. You have to go work for it to get it. You got to mine it. So everything, a part of it is honest labor, honest money. And when you create a money out of thin air, so you detach it from gold, it becomes satanic, demonic, I call it. It becomes evil. And they've used it for ultimate evil. And that's what we've seen go globally right now. And so everything we're talking about, it's like we back to cryptocurrencies, a quick little touch on that. See, a central bank digital currency, the reason people use Bitcoin for the past 10 or whatever, 15 years now, because the world has agreed it's money. That's what it is. It's just an agreement. Like you and I can agree that something is money. So even if central banks want to bring on a central bank digital currency, the world still has to agree they're going to use it. See, that's the fun part, right? Because the moment you create something, the world has to agree to use it. And that's the problem that they're going to have. But also because God's going to intervene in this whole thing. But that's why all this is about to flip in terms of financial scales about to change. But this is the important thing. So as good as cryptocurrencies will be in the future for transactions, the other side of the coin is, I'm going to use the word store of wealth. And so gold and silver are the ultimate stores of wealth you can possibly ever imagine, because when the financial scales flip, when the dollar loses its status, the world reserve currency, okay, you can go anywhere in the world like Andrew did, for example, Dubai, or anywhere you want to travel. You can take an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, and it will be accepted as payment anywhere in the world. And we're now seeing dedollarization. We're seeing countries, like Andrew was stating earlier, they're not accepting it as payment. That's crazy, because when I grew up as a kid, man, anywhere you go, you got a dollar bill. Oh, it's like you can get anything. Everybody wanted, I just remember the saying, everybody wants dollar bills. That was a saying when I grew up. That was, and anybody who's, 30s, 40s, 50s, we know that saying. You go travel anywhere in the world, anybody and everybody wanted dollar bills. We grew up like that, right, Andrew? And now what's about to happen when God flips the scales, the dollar bill that everybody wants, we're already seeing the world leave it. The nations are now departing from it. They're joining another group. They're joining the brothers of Goliath. They're joining another group. And this is not a nation. This is 75% of the world population that it entitles or controls possibly is coming against the Federal Reserve note or the Federal Reserve. So this is going to be historic what's about to go down here. And so when the scales flip, this is why it's so important to own precious metals. When the financial scales flip, anytime any currencies ever collapsed, gone to zero, fallen apart, lost many major status, anytime it's ever happened, the immediate go-to has always been gold and silver. Always. And so that's what's going to happen. When the dollar loses status as a world reserve currency, the immediate go-to will be gold and silver. It will be the immediate financial system. And ultimately, it's going to lead its way into what's called, it's going to be a complete and pure, perfect store of wealth. And so those who own precious metals, Andrew talked about sleeping well. If you own precious metals, you own God's money and you're in control of it. It shouldn't not be sitting at a bank, at a vault, but it should be somewhere maybe buried in your backyard, sitting in a private vault somewhere. Andrew, we can talk about storage in a few minutes, but it should be sitting somewhere where there's no middleman relative between you and your money, and it's held in a safe place. And here's the key. When the financial scales flip, and this is a billion people that we're talking about globally, okay? And when this system changes, ultimately, whether it's a few months from now, whether it's end of the year, or let's say it's early 2025, whatever, the United States, mark my words, will return to the gold standard that Nixon took us off of. And when we return to the gold standard, it's not going to be based with a Federal Reserve note. It'll be a new financial system. And those who own precious metals today are already in the new financial system that's going to be birthed on this world and in this world. And if you own precious metals today, you're already in the new financial system. You just don't know it yet. But this new financial system comes with something really awesome. Insanely high prices for gold and silver because it leads into what's called the great wealth transfer. So from that perspective, Andrew, if people want to reach out to you, let's talk about, getting supply. Is it easy to get supply right now? The prices, where are they at? And also spreads, where are those at?
Well, right now is probably the best time that you could invest in gold and silver because the prices aren't anywhere near where they will be. In fact, gold is at $2,027 an ounce. It's been holding in pretty much that range for a while now. It's cheap compared to where we know it's headed. Silver is at $22.39 an ounce, which is a little bit less than $4 an ounce higher than where it was. Actually, a little bit more than $4 an ounce higher than it was when you called the bottom in November of 2022. However, the difference between now and then is that it would actually cost you less to buy silver per ounce today than it would have in November 2022, because back then we were at an all-time high on the premiums. So the premiums are what it costs for you to buy an ounce of silver or an ounce of gold on top of the actual silver price or gold price. With them being at almost an all-time low today, you can get a silver eagle for about $30 an ounce right now, which is a really good deal. In some cases, less than that.
When silver goes up, the first coin to disappear off the shelves off any inventory is a silver eagle in the United States. And then based on your country, if you're in Canada, the number one coin to disappear off the shelves in Canada would be the Canadian maple leaf. And that's kind of global how it works. You always want to, if you can, get the transactional coin of the country you live in. And so here in the United States, it is the eagle, whether it's a silver eagle or the gold, but that's the number one transactional instrument. And then after that, once those sell out, which happens every single bull market, they quickly sell out, just literally disappear. Then everybody goes to what else can you get? But it's important to understand spreads, because when this happens, we've seen the spread on an eagle go double. So silver might be, say, $20. an ounce, but the spread could be double. And this is not Andrew charging. This is letting for Andrew to get his inventory. They're charging him double just to get the eagle. Okay. So the fact that eagles are available right now, huge opportunity. That's how I look at it. I just put an order in with you. What did I buy? Eagles. Okay. Why? Because I know when silver blows vertical, it doesn't matter what price you bought it at. I'm telling you, I could care less. It's fun to buy the bottom. Okay. It's fun to buy it cheap, but I could ultimately care less because I know what's about to happen. It's going to go threefold in a single day. I truly believe it's going to happen. And if it's double, let it be double, but it's going to blow. And that just starts the greatest bull market in human history. So we are living at an incredible time point right now. So aside from moving money from your personal bank account, what about IRAs, 401ks? How does all that work and how quick is all that?
One thing that we're noticing here is that a lot of people heading into the beginning of this year are a little bit strapped for cash. And then we point out that they can convert a portion or even all of a retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k, to own physical gold and silver. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. So when we point that out, we explain how we can help them do it. We can have those accounts open in about 2 weeks. It's a non-taxable event. And that's one of the most important things, is that you're basically just taking it from other investments, which most of them tend to be in stocks or mutual funds. You sell those and then you purchase gold and silver with it once you get the account transferred over. And it's really a great thing. When you take distributions, like many people do, you have the option to take a cash distribution or one in physical gold and silver. And it's all very simple and such a popular way to do it. And it's stored on a third-party depository, so you don't have to worry about storing it at your home or office. It's at a safe place where it's insured in Delaware, where the bulk of our inventory is also at. So we don't just recommend it, we use it as well.
I want to add this. Why do I do interviews with Andrew? First off, he's an amazing guy. I've met him. I've known him and his wife. In terms of buying precious metals, there's a couple of major bullet points. Okay. When you buy precious metals, you want to make sure that it arrives. Okay. So when you send a wire, like I said, the most discomforting time point is from the money leaving your account to the moment you receive it at the depository, front door, wherever you're receiving spot, your post office box, wherever you're receiving it. That's like the big, limbo time point. So you really ultimately, it's so important to know that you're sending your money to somebody safe. And the other thing about precious metals and Andrew is he's got avenues to store it for you as well too. So I just want to emphasize the importance of Andrew is a very reliable source, and I just want to emphasize that. And then the second reason, we're stepping into the month of March, which is Mars, or the month of war. Something is about to go down. We're in the last month before March hits. This is not financial advice. We are living in biblical times. If you've watched my podcast, you'll know we're living in biblical times. Things are about to go down that are going to be unprecedented. March is expected to be historic. April, wild. In other words, it's just about to go down. We're seeing things going on in the world, and right now, even down to Tucker Carlson going to Russia, the BRICS, what they're doing. Major events are about to go down. So I just want to finish on, Andrew, if people want to reach you, find you, how do they find you? What's the first step? And take it from here.
Sure. So if you would like to learn more about diversifying with gold and silver, go to our website. It's bh-pm.com. There's a form, and the form says free consultation, or you can just enter your first name, last name, email address, and say Bo Polny sent you. And there's a note section. That note section is very, very important because that helps me get you to the portion of our business where you can get the best help. So, for example, if you're interested in learning how to roll over a 401k or an IRA, I'll get you to my experts with the retirement accounts. If you're a newbie and you've never done it before and you feel like you have a lot of questions and you'd like to speak with some people here that will be very patient and answer all of your questions, then put that in there. Some people will say things like, I've sold a rental property that I've had for years, and I feel nervous about having those funds in the bank. And what would you recommend for someone like me? And just whatever it is that's on your mind, put it in the notes and questions section. Again, it's bh-pm.com. You can see it right there on your screen. And right now, our time for following up with you is usually about 24 hours. So be sure to put in your phone number. We will call you. And if we don't get a hold of you, we'll send you a text and say, hey, we just tried to call you and we could be reached at this number. And right now is such a great time. The shipping times are so quick, and the price of silver especially are way, way down compared to where we think it's going to go. And then just one last tidbit is that I think Bo touched on this a little bit earlier. I wouldn't get caught up too much in what price you get in at. You don't need to get in at the low, because we know where this is headed. You want to get into gold and silver, not based on where it's at now, based on where you believe it's going to go. And it's going to be much, much, much higher. So right now is definitely a good time to reach out.
Thank you for being here. And I want to finish with this. The financial system is going to flip. Huge things are about to happen in this world. We're at a very, very important time point in the world. So be wise to what we talked about. Make good decisions. God loves you. Jesus loves you. And thank you, Andrew, for being here. Amen.
Thanks so much. And I hope to be back soon.
The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar.